Hi guys, so in this video I wanted to compare these two palettes, the Naked 1 palette from Urban Decay and the MUA palette called Undressed, which is supposed to be an exact dupe of this one. This is super cheap and this is a little bit more expensive. So that's why I was kind of curious to try them both out, because I already have this one and I bought this a while back, but I really haven't reached out and used it because I was using this. I gave this to a friend of mine and she was raving about it, that it was an amazing quality and beautiful colors, of course. So I just wanted to see for myself. So I just did a this makeup look using only Naked 1 on this eye and then only Undressed eyeshadows on this eye, just to, you know, compare the two in action. The colors in this palette is so similar. The texture and the feel when you touch the shadows with your finger is exactly the same, or even better than the Naked palette, I would say. If you just look at them like this, you can see that the eyeshadows are pretty similar in the palette also. And maybe I should just swatch this next to each other so you can see the dupes for... I would say that you kind of have to pack on the Undressed, the MUA eyeshadows a little bit more than in the Naked palette, but not a whole lot. It is pretty good quality for both of them. I don't know if you can see, but this is Virgin and this is shade 1 in Undressed. So it does give a very similar look from using these. So there you have the Naked color and then shade 3 from Undressed. As you can see, it's a little bit more pigmented, but I think I can get the same effect if I just pack on a little bit more color. Actually, another thing about the Undressed palette is it's not as chalky as the Naked 1 palette, because you get a lot of fallout from the Naked 1 palette, but you don't get as much fallout from the Undressed palette. So there you have the Sidecar and then shade 4 from Undressed. So maybe a tiny bit darker with Buck and shade 5 from the Undressed palette. I'd say very similar, but I guess you can see just from looking at it that these are a little bit prettier and more pigmented on, but I mean, they're almost just as good. Then we have Half-Baked, which feels very soft and nice in the Undressed palette. The shade 6, but it's unfortunately just not as pigmented, but it looks very nice when you pack it on a little bit more. And you barely have to touch into the Half-Baked color before you get some. And then this is shade 6 then from the Undressed palette. When I look at it, it looks super similar. It almost is a lot easier to blend this color than this color. That's Dark Horse, and that is shade 8 in the Undressed palette. Then there's Toasted, which is right here, and then number 9 in the Undressed palette. Then there's Hustle, right there, and from the Undressed palette, and we have Creep right there, and from the Undressed palette there. And there's a big difference, I feel, in the texture between these two. I can definitely tell that this is a lot better with the pigmentation and the application and the blending and just how it looks. So lastly, there's Gunmetal right there, and then from the Undressed palette right there. I actually think that the Undressed version of Gunmetal is prettier than the other one, than the original one. So there you go. There's the whole palette. My conclusion is that you can definitely buy the MUA palette and be happy with that palette and get good makeup looks, make great good makeup looks with that one. I think the quality is more than good enough. They're not that chalky. They don't have that much fallout. It's just so much cheaper to go out and get the MUA palette. They also have a, I think it's called just Undressed 2, which is a dupe for the Naked 2 palette, which I really want to get. I don't have the original Urban Decay Naked 2 palette, just because I don't think that those shades, it's just not my kind of taste. But I would love to get the Naked 3 palette, but for now I think I'm gonna order the Undressed 2 palette and see if I like it. If I love it, then, and they're just as good as the MUA Naked 1 Undressed dupe palette thing, then I'll be happy with that, because these are really good and I can definitely recommend them. If you haven't tried out MUA, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I do have a few products from MUA, and they're super cheap. They're like as cheap as Elf, I'd say. So just go into their website, and if you want to see how I did this makeup look, you can just keep watching. Again, I did Naked 1 on this eye and the Undressed palette on this eye, so I'd love to give you kind of an update or something, or maybe I'll write it in the end of the video, how well they did and how long the shadows lasted. I did wear the Urban Decay Primer Potion underneath on both of my eyes, so I guess of course that will help, but yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.